A massive thank you to Hans, Mr. Combat, Donovan, Ryan and Alex for subscribing to the channel. If you're already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below.
Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 1 of Season 2 of the F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yesterday we're here ready to kickstart the season from Capure in Bahrain. Of course, if you missed out on pre-season testing yesterday, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out. Of course, we got into all the news, all the driver transfers, everything like that before we dive into Season 2 of this career mode. And of course, yes, as you can see across from me, Oscar Piastri, our new teammate to kickstart Season 2 of this campaign. But of course, a massive thank you as well to all of you guys for the continued support on our F1 22 content. Of course, yeah, we've already now hit 71,000 subscribers at the time of recording this, so helps get one step closer towards that 75k there. And of course, 80k, really the next big milestone, is 100k by the end of the year. We just keep taking those steps closer and closer. But yeah, Bahrain though, of course, round 1 of the year. Of course, like I said, I decided to scrap the Pirelli hot laps, so we're going to jump right into it then, of course, ready for free practice. Here is a quick look at the vehicle comparison chart before I jump into it. As you can see, we have been pushed right back to the rear of the field, but you will note just how much more well-rounded this year's car is over previous seasons, and it won't take many upgrades for us to rise quite rapidly up through the order. So the best way to get upgrades on the car is of course with free practice sessions, and of course, yeah, let's get into it then here from Bahrain. Right, well here we are then, back in the desert to kickstart the second season of our F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Like I mentioned in pre-season testing, kind of hoping, of course, yeah, we can make a lot of forward progress over the course of this season, as why am I not putting any throttle down at the first couple of turns? That is basically going to ruin my first attempt on the ERS practice run. But yeah, hopefully, of course, not going to have such a heavy emphasis on free practice and things like that as we sort of make our way through these campaigns. You know, not so many of you, I'm sure, want to sort of see the racing rather than just these little bits that are a bit more behind the scenes. But always interesting when we jump in the new car to see how we get on. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see as we get in towards qualifying and stuff, whether we're going to find a bit more pace from the new car. Right, well, after working out what I was struggling with so much, it turns out I hadn't calibrated my pedals properly, so no idea how long I've been struggling on F1 22, and it's just been the fact that I haven't sorted out my pedals correctly. Out of the final corner then, first attempt, and immediately it's a green score. How many points could that have cost me last season? That has legitimately messed with my mind now. I've got no idea how long I've been having pedal issues on F1 22. I noticed it at Monaco in the Haas Road to Glory a couple of days ago, though. I just didn't seem to quite be able to get on the throttle the way I'd want to. But yeah, now I feel like I've got so much more control over the rear end of the car immediately, whether it's also some of the upgrades on ready for Season 2 of this career mode, but it feels like a completely different car now. And of course, yeah, with the field so tightly bunched, those little things can have a big difference. Got to mention as well, let me know what you guys think about the new paint scheme. Wanted to try and incorporate more orange on it again, but of course, yeah, early on in the game cycle, especially obviously as I'm on Xbox and can't do any modding, a lot of the custom paint schemes aren't that great. It's normally later on in some of the pit lane passes you get more access to some cooler stuff. But I think, you know, orange on black again, but a lot more orange this time round. I kind of didn't realise going into last season the fact that our car basically just looked black. But, you know, I like a bit of orange on them. Well, just coming towards the end then of my race simulation run, already picking up a few key things about this new version of the 2-in-2 Motorsport car. Definitely seems to hold onto its battery a whole lot better than last season's car did. You know, Renault are still certainly bringing both teams a lot of upgrades, and of course they've got even more incentive to do so with Oscar Piastri in our car. But yeah, feel like we're going to be able to be a lot more consistent. We're using the battery as well there, and that's reassuring, as immediately we get another purple score. Right, final big test then here of free practice, of course jumping in with our qualifying simulation run. This can often really paint a picture of how well we're going to be able to do in a weekend. So yeah, being strong here could be absolutely critical, as nice lock-up down at turn 1. Got to be careful of that when we get into qualifying. Often though, if Season 1 is ended to go by, sometimes we've struggled with some of the qualifying runs and then actually still had decent pace when we got to Saturday is that is not the line at the top of the hill. I think this lap is basically a write-off. Yeah, safe to say this qualifying sim run hasn't quite gone the way I would have wanted. The car definitely still feels a little bit loose and lively over 1 lap pace there, but I'm going to make a couple of tweaks to the wings, everything like that. Let's get into qualifying then here in Sakhir.
Before we jump into that though, I just wanted to let you know of a brilliant competition going on hosted by Imperium Experiences. Have you ever wanted to attend the Italian Grand Prix? Yes, the home of Ferrari, the Temple of Speed, and of course the mighty Tifosi. Imperium Experiences are offering you the chance to win 2 tickets for the weekend and a 3-night stay at a 4-star hotel. All you have to do is enter their competition on their site linked down below in the description or my bio, and you could be off out to Monza. The competition is limited to just 900 entries, however, and closes on the 6th of August, so make sure if you want to get involved to do it as soon as possible. Currently, they're also offering an extra promotion where if you buy 2 entries, you get a 3rd completely free, increasing your chances to win at an incredibly cheap price. They even have a handy guide on their site on how to enter, so I would definitely recommend checking it out, and a massive thank you to them for sponsoring this video.
While the start of a new Formula 1 season is always interesting, and qualifying is your first real chance to see what pace all the cars have got, but yeah, I was kind of hoping this season we'd be a regular into Q2 there, but not convinced to start the year that is going to be the case here in Bahrain, but you never know, if we can get a good tidy lap in, then maybe, just maybe, we can sneak through. Alex Albon fastest in his Williams at the moment on a 130.3, but yeah, I don't know whether it's just the track temperature feeling a bit cooler or maybe it's just working more towards our car, but definitely feel like we're going a bit quicker than we did in our qualifying simulation run as yellow flags out at the top of the hill just to let another car by. And there we go, a 29.3 immediately. Maybe this car isn't as slow as I originally thought. Right, 5 minutes left then on the clock there. You can see Drogovic, our old teammate, up in P11, but yeah, clearly we have got a bit more pace than I'd originally thought there, and now we can try and fight to see if we can make it into Q2. I mean, Piastri is only, I think, about 2/100ths away from my time at the moment, but we need to try and get a nice tidy run in here to finish off our Q1 running, and fingers crossed see ourselves into Q2. Or we're going to immediately ruin the lap before it's even really begun. That was the other choice, I suppose. Well, we're still sat above the drop zone at the moment, but he's going to be very, very tight. If I can try and get a final run in here, all over the back of Valtteri Bottas as we head out the final corner there. As the thing, yeah, really falling down the order. We do get to the flag with 2 seconds on the board. Look at that. The AI making sense for once there. Bottas peels out the way immediately as we head down in towards first corner. Wait, no, he's going to dive bomb me. Absolutely love that as we head through turn 1 there. But yeah, normally right at the end of the session, of course, is where you see everyone improve. We've already dropped 1/4 of a second before we even get in towards turn 4. But yeah, fingers crossed, there was definitely a few little errors, little imperfections on the previous lap that we might not even need to improve to make it into Q2. Is on another run, but we're still learning the car, everything like that. Is it Q2? Yes, it is! P14. Love that! Well, there we go then, having a look at the Q1 results there. Mercedes looking very, very fast there. Hamilton fastest ahead of George Russell. 4/10 clear of Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari, but Oscar Piastri yet doesn't quite sneak through into Q2 there, so no idea, because I mean he had set a time that would have been good enough, so not too sure what's gone on there. Carlos Sainz, first race out for Alpine, out in Q1 there. Kevin Magnussen, first race for Aston Martin, out in Q1 there. Alpine have had an absolute disaster, 17th and 21st on the grid here. We're the only Renault-powered car into Q2. Right, well, we have only got 1 clean set of tyres ready for Q2, so I'm going to do my first run on the set that I span around on. They reckon they're only going to be a couple of tenths off the pace, but yeah, when you're really trying to maximise the car, might lose a little bit more. But as long as we give ourselves a good benchmark, something to chase on the fresh rubber on the second run, so I think we can walk away pretty happy. It's down into turn 1. Nice and tidy through there. And just attack the curbs through turn 2. and turn 3 there. Got to be really, really brave through that first chicane. So difficult to find the grip. Felipe Drugovich, fastest at the moment, then down to a 130.1. Just feel the car move around underneath you to try and maximise. Final corner of our first run there, and it's all going to go away from me. It's going to be a whopping 134.7. At least we have got a benchmark for most of the lap, as Stroll immediately goes a second clear of anyone. Right, final run then here in Q2. Currently Sergio Perez down in the drop zone. But what are we going to be able to do then as we head out of this final corner? Not convinced we'll have the pace to make it through into Q3, but crazier things have happened before on F1 22, so, you know, a boy can dream and all that as we head back down towards turn 1. Just try and get the car slowed down in towards that first apex. And again, right the throttle on the exit there. A little bit more hesitant. I seem to get worse the more times I go through that chicane. So no idea what that's all about as we get towards the top of the hill. Try and slow the car down. 3rd gear on the way in, 5th gear on the way out, because you want to try and avoid that curb on the exit. Back down into 5th through the first part of the chicane there. Really trying to open up the second part though. Avoid taking too much of that exit curb as we head now through the hairpin. Try to ride the throttle on the exit. You just see now the pace deficit that we had on that scrub set of tyres in our first run there. Now we're just starting to find a little bit more time. Horrible run through turn 9 and turn 10 there. Got no rotation on the way in and loads of wheel spin on the way out as we head through the end of sector 2. Try and just keep it pinned as you head up the hill there. You want to get as close to that inside curb as possible without clipping it. Otherwise, you're basically sending yourself to the shadow round. 2 more corners to go then. The first one of those, navigated rather tidily, is half a second up as we head down in towards the final corner. Where are we going to be able to put ourselves on the grid, ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix? Took way too much curb through the final corner. Almost lit up the rears on the exit again, up to the line. It's going to be P8! Yes, into Q3! I cannot believe that. I mean, I said we can hope for a miracle here, but I was not expecting to make it through into Q3 there. George Russell fastest at the end of the Q2 runs there, but a 28.9 is a lap I'm very, very happy with there. I mean, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, both out in Q2 there. The same can be said for Drugovich in his first race down at Haas, but into Q3 to start the year, they're both AlphaTauris and Lance Stroll as well joining us. Clearly, the performance graph means nothing. We're going to get one run here. Let's not waste it. One run then, here in Q3 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Honestly, the fact we've made it into Q3 is a miracle enough for me, but if we can start any higher than P10, I would be over the moon as we head down through turn 1. Oh, a little bit of a snap there as I tried to be a bit braver on the loud pedal. That felt like good hookup though at the first couple of corners. Whether it was or not is a very different question, because like I said, I seem to be losing confidence through there. Missed the apex a little bit at the top of the hill, but just slide in the rear end around a little bit as we try to find the pace, try to find the time, try to find the grip at the moment. But I mean, yeah, if we can get back into the 28s, we can probably call that a win at the end of qualifying here, as we need to make sure we get a nice tidy run through these next couple of corners. They broke just a little bit early there, had to hesitate a little bit on the brakes as off. 4th gear, back end still squirreling underneath you. You can just feel the car zigzag just underneath there. It's braking at about 70 metres. We'll have to second guess ourselves on the way in. And as we head up the hill, we're just trying to keep it clean and tidy at the moment. Oh, took way too much curb there. That might cost us. No, somehow we get the car back over towards the apex and maintain good speed on corner exit. One more turn to go then, here in qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Take a deep breath on the way in. Oh, again, took too much curb there on the way through, but somehow we get away with it once more up towards the line. What's the time going to be? It's a 28.8. It's only P10.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top 3. Russell, Hamilton and Lando Norris. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Well, there we are then, guys. The end of qualifying here from Bahrain. And George Russell, the man that was so strong towards the end of the year there, kickstarts 2023 with a pole position ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes looking fast there, but it's a British 1-2-3 on the grid there. Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, and then reigning world champion Charles Leclerc only able to finish P4 there. Bottas ahead of Verstappen as well is quite an impressive feat. But yeah, we are hopefully going to be around the Aston Martins and the Alpha Taurus here. Let's get into it then, the Bahrain Grand Prix.
This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We go racing today around the 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas and Verstappen, Stroll, Tsunoda, Gasly and Mr. Monaco, Schwartzman, Joe, Daniel Ricciardo and Perez, Drugovich, Latifi, Carlos Sainz and Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Ocon and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Right, well here we are then on the grid, ready to kickstart Season 2 of our My Team career mode. In terms of strategy today, definitely feel like, we just want to stick to the plan. We've got a lot still to learn about the car. How economical is it going to be? How is it going to cope on its tyres? We now know the qualifying pace is pretty fast, but yeah, that doesn't often mean that you've got a... doesn't always mean, sorry, I should say, you have got a fast race car here. One, that pace is pretty irrelevant when you've got to try and survive 29 here in the desert. But of course, yeah, manual formation lap on. I want all 22 purple... well, 25 technically, when you include sprint races this year. We're going for all purple scores. That's the goal. Right, well, as George Russell heads out of the final corner then to start pole here at the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix. I've actually seen there's been a bit of a trend going around with the best way to warm up your tyres on F1 22. Yep, doing burnouts can help you and everything like that, but apparently, yeah, I'm going to try it now, and it's going to go horribly wrong. There's a very big chance of that. So what you want to do, get yourself into first gear, and as you get close to your grid slot, you've actually got to apparently go like this, and try. That apparently is going to give me the best start we could have wanted. I nailed it! I am far prouder of that than I ever should be. And imagine anyone did that at the start of a real-life Formula 1 Grand Prix. But ready on the grid then, here in Bahrain, 5 red lights. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go. And it's actually helped me. Look at that for a start as we head down towards turn 1 there, straight past Pierre Gasly to the inside of Tsunoda and Lance Stroll. And we're actually going to be really, really brave there, almost into the side of Valtteri Bottas there. Tiny bit of contact with Max Verstappen, and it's straight around the outside of Stroll as we head out of turn 1 there. Look at the run we got on Bottas as we head up the hill there as well. 4 places gained off the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and can we make it 5 then? As we head up the hill, looks like Charles Leclerc has opted to start on a set of soft compound tyres there, and that has been the perfect start to the Bahrain Grand Prix. 5 places gained there. We seem to be struggling a little bit with the front end. Not too sure what that's all about as we get a bit more bite down through the hairpin there. But Bottas going backwards off the start, so no idea what's happened to the fin. But yeah, could have never thought at the start of this Grand Prix we'd be straight him into P5 there. Clearly that works on F1 22, but still Mercedes lead the way. Then Charles Leclerc trying to throw something a little bit different at it to get in the mix there as Sir Lance trying to have a look up the inside. We'll give him the room on the inside, but just don't allow him to get the throttle down on the exit. And I mean, yeah, really, we're going to have no chance keeping up with that top 4 as we run horribly wide, heading up in towards Sector 3 there. Our battle today, again, is likely going to be with the cars behind us as Max Verstappen already back on the offensive here on Lance as we head down in towards the final couple of corners. Make sure Verstappen doesn't run into the side of me, trying to outbrake Lance Stroll. George Russell, though, leads the way at the end of lap 1 as Charles Leclerc tries to apply more pressure to Lewis Hamilton. As 3 wide behind us they go, back into the first corner. Surely that isn't going to end well for everyone. Go on, Bottas, that's what we want to see from the fin there. Big send down at turn 1, but it is Verstappen, I think, who's come out on top. Got yellow flags out. Oh, it's Max Verstappen. What's the Dutchman done? Down at turn 9 there. Is he just locked up and ran deep? Riding on board then with Max Verstappen on just lap 3 of the Grand Prix there. And yeah, just way too optimistic down at the hairpin there. That's going to allow a handful of cars through as, yeah, I don't know whether the Dutchman has got an issue. Really struggled to get it going again. I mean, yeah, I'm certainly not going to complain too much about that. Gives me a little bit more breathing room over the cars behind there as it is now Bottas, the next man behind us. Lance Stroll still sat in P7, but yeah, it almost feels like we're starting to create a bit of a train in this Grand Prix, but no one applying pressure to us in the early stages. And Charles Leclerc, 6 seconds up the road, he is hounding Hamilton as they head back down towards turn 1 there. Is he going to be able to pull off the move? I'm just basing this off what I can see on the mini-map. No, he is not. Just got to make sure we keep Bottas out of the DRS range early on here. It's so much free time around Bahrain if you can just be picking that up through the final sector. But yeah, so just trying to make sure we just keep Bottas at arm's length early on, but still don't want to just melt through our ERS either. It's a fine balance. Bottas definitely quicker, but I have made a couple of small mistakes. Right, sit right then as we come towards the end of lap 6. Still just keeping Bottas out of that DRS window. It was all a little bit of a lock-up down at the final corner, but looking around though, it actually looks like it's Daniel Ricciardo who's, no, that's not Daniel Ricciardo, that's one of the Alfa Romeos, sorry. I was going to be very worried if Daniel Ricciardo in a Ferrari was holding up the back markers, but yeah, it really does seem at the moment, like with the exception of Mercedes and probably Ferrari's car, just not Daniel Ricciardo, Red Bull seem to have slipped back in towards what is now turned into, what, an 18-19 midfield? This could honestly be a ridiculous season. Oh no, end of lap 8. Bottas for the first time today then is going to have some DRS. I mean, to be honest, yeah, I wouldn't have even thought heading into this one we would have been in a position to try and defend from the McLaren. But Charles Leclerc actually, and George Russell into the pit lane, so that's very, very interesting then. What tyres? So Hamilton and Norris then have both started mediums, but George Russell and Charles Leclerc are both started on the soft compound tyres. So I guess what we've got to be careful of if we start battling with Valtteri is just to make sure that Lance Stroll doesn't get within the 1 second zone there. Like I said, I'm not really too worried. If Bottas gets me, Bottas gets me. I think the McLaren is still a bit of a quicker car there. Maybe that'll be sort of sat on the precipice between Ferrari, Mercedes, and, well, it could be sort of around Red Bull level, but we're still not really sure how quick that Red Bull car is at the moment, but yeah, as we head through the middle sector though, I think it's a question now of when, not if, Valtteri Bottas tries to move past me. Really not too sure what's going on then with a lot of other drivers' strategies in this race, because I mean, yeah, a lot of cars have now pit, so whether they just think the softs to hards is the way to go, or whether some of them are actually stopping this, but Bottas now, well, I wondered then, just for a brief moment, whether he was pulling over to the wayside in this Grand Prix, but yeah, now starting maybe to get a little bit worried that we might get undercut by a lot of cars, but then of course, yeah, we'd have fresher, quicker rubber right through to the checkered flag, unless they're stopping. Yeah, we are probably going to pit. I'm going to try and extend the stint 1 lap longer than what the game thinks, just because that normally means you lose out less to the AI, but yeah, we'll wait and see. And a shock twist of events that I wasn't expecting. We've now somehow broken out of the DRS range from Valtteri Bottas again, whether he's just struggling a little bit more on his tyres or what. Yeah, the gap's now opened back up to just over 1 second here, so he might end up under a little bit more pressure from Valtteri Bottas, but Team Honest in the end of this one, like I said, we're going to try and extend it 1 further and go on then on to the set of hards, just because of course they'll then face the wrath of cold rubber, or not really on F122 for the AI. That desperately needs fixing. Oh, we got yellow flags out up in Sector 1, no idea who's going slowly. I think it might be an Alpine. Could theoretically on paper be one of the slowest cars on the grid at the moment, and it would be even worse. Yes, Esteban Ocon out of this Grand Prix there, so a horrible start to the year for Alpine. Not only, yeah, were they the only team to get both cars knocked out in Q1, they've now also lost one of the cars in the Grand Prix, as Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton both into the pit lane. So for the first time ever, I'm pretty certain in the My Team career mode, we take the lead of a Grand Prix here. What a way to kickstart Season 2. I mean, it won't last long, but gotta enjoy it. Well, interestingly enough then, despite the huge undercut, George Russell actually hasn't come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And I think, yeah, unless he obviously gets some DRS there, Hamilton might just be able to hang on later on in this Grand Prix. Has Lewis a wise old head to outfox his younger teammate here as through the final corners we go. Let's just make sure we get the car nicely slowed down into the pit lane. Right, just before you get to that little kink. That was 51. We got away with it. Oh, this race is just bizarre so far, but I'm all for it at the moment as we head down the pit lane. Let's hope we get a clean, tidy stop. Optimal on the way in. Please no tyre issues. Please no tyre issues. 2.3. Oh, you love to see it. And where are we going to re-emerge then in this Grand Prix? Sadly, Piastri is in on the same time. Oh, cold rubber. Remember that on the exit there. But we're still going to be out in P5 then of the Grand Prix and just skate on down at turn 1. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come on, hang on to it. Sorry, Bottas. I'm accidentally going to block you a little bit on the exit of the corner there, but now we've got to try and fire up these tyres. Like I said, the AI just don't struggle with it in the same way the human does, but we're just going to squeeze Bottas out at the top of the hill. It's like driving on a set of Inters for the first few corners, but I think now, as we head down the hill, we had the same issue at the start of the Grand Prix. Hopefully now the tyres are up to scrub. There we go, a bit more bite from the front. Now, whoa, steady on, steady on. I think now we can try and just push a little bit more on them. No. That was a horrible line down at turn 10, and Bottas might say thank you very much there. Just a small lock-up as we head down the hill. And now Bottas up into P5 then of the Grand Prix. But if we can stay within the DRS... Oh, Bottas felt like he was drifting a bit wide there and then tried to cut back in, and it's all going wrong. That Stroll now sneaks up the inside as well there, and Gasly fancies a bite of the slice of the cake even, I should say. There Gasly tries to squeeze me out there, but we hang firm around the outside, and 2 places gone in the space of a couple of corners there. Verstappen and Ricciardo, the former teammates, side by side just behind as well, as it's all kicking off then. Again, Gasly gives himself way too narrow a run through the final corner. They might now be 3 wide as we head back down towards the start-finish line here, but we are going to hang on just, only just, to P7. Making sure we don't lose touch to Lance Stroll here, but I can't help but feel Bottas might just have been given the lifeline he needs to break away in this Grand Prix. But now Ricciardo has been unleashed behind me, but Pierre Gasly is still battling it out with Max Verstappen. So, yeah, not too sure how they're going to feel about that. Get back at Milton Keynes, but yeah, Ricciardo just dropping back slightly there. I think they got a really nice run actually down through the penultimate corner, but we need to try and stick close to Sir Lance. Aston Martin again this season could be big rivals, but what a way it is to kickstart the campaign for both teams. Activating the DRS then with just 11 laps to go here in Bahrain. Are we going to get close enough to Lance Stroll by the time we get back towards turn 1? Not this time round, I don't think. We will gain a little bit under braking if we can try and get a nice tidy run out through turn 2 and turn 3. Might be able to apply the pressure as we head up the hill. There is a lot of curb on the exit of the corner there. Stroll aware of us though. He's going to sit defensive as we head up the hill there really late on the brakes there. I'm pretty certain we ended up out towards Yas Marina, how late we were on the brakes there, but Stroll hangs on for now, and Daniel Ricciardo must be looking at this, sensing an opportunity in that Ferrari. As long... Oh! Stroll lock-up, big lock-up from Sir Lance, and immediately he cracks under the pressure, and I was just about to say, as long as we don't come together, but Stroll now is going to gift me back P6 in this GP. Now we just got to try and build up a gap and hang on to it. Oh, there we go. Lap 22, just briefly got Lance Stroll out of the DRS range. Sorry, lap 21 even, I should say. Unfortunately, yeah, hasn't worked out for me, as I then immediately ran wide in an excited panic. But yeah, definitely not going to close up to Bottas by the end, unless the McLaren has some issues there, and really strong signs coming from McLaren at the start of the new season. There was all again just a little bit wide at the top of the hill. They didn't look particularly brilliant in pre-season testing, but they have really come out swinging here in Bahrain, as the Mercs at the front still battling it out. Charles Leclerc trying to hang close, but I think he's accepting fate here, that maybe his championship defence might not be as easy as he'd first hoped there. Of course, yeah, went on an absolute tear at the first half of last season, and then of course won the final race in Abu Dhabi, and might have given Ferrari a little bit of false hope that they could sit back a bit more over the winter, because Mercedes, yeah, they always come back stronger than they were previously. While both Red Bulls now inside the top 10, as they've both navigated their way around Pierre Gasly, but yeah, Christian Horner, Adrian Newey must be scratching their heads thinking what on earth has happened at the start of the new season here. I don't think they've had as bad a season opener since about 2015. Of course, yeah, that Red Bull certainly not a brilliant car, but yeah, at the moment though, we're just trying to hang on ahead of Lance Stroll still. A little bit of a mistake there, I feel, from the Canadian, but I kind of maybe want to keep him within the DRS, to be honest, because that means Ricciardo can't get past him. Whoa! Big snap of oversteer there, and that might mean that Stroll's definitely going to still be within the range. Not sure what that was all about, but make sure we just all collect it back up as Stroll trying to look around the outside. Ricciardo, they both make a mistake there at the bottom of the hill, and now Max Verstappen, the man that we saw do that earlier on, is almost ready to pounce on his former teammate. We hang on for now as Verstappen makes the move on Daniel Ricciardo there as they head back up the hill. Mercedes still trading fastest laps at the front of the field, and now Verstappen, who's had, yes, such a disappointing start to the campaign, really a disappointing start to F1 22, the game in general, but now starting to make some progress again, as we've now definitely got Stroll out of DRS. 6 laps to go in the season opener. It hasn't been the most dramatic race in the world, but if we can walk away with 8 points, I will absolutely take it. I never thought I'd be in a Formula 1 race cheering on Lance Stroll, but here I am hoping he can keep Verstappen and Ricciardo at bay for just a few more laps here. The Aston Martin isn't looking like a bad package here in Sakir, but yeah, come on Lance, just give me a couple more laps before you let him through, because I wouldn't mind if the Aston Martin did lose out on the points, because they're much more likely to be our title rival this year over Red Bull or Ferrari. But yeah, as long as they don't get up to me, Lance, if you can do me this one, I owe you, mate. Well, 3 more laps to go then here in Sakir, and Lance Stroll still seems to be doing enough at the moment, but I'm watching the mini-map. Those two Mercedes, the jewel in the desert 2.0, of course. It would have been 9 years since that famous battle between Hamilton and Rosberg here in Bahrain. And I mean, yeah, what is it with Hamilton? 2nd season with a new teammate. They get back to Bahrain, and immediately the fight is on there. George Russell desperately wants to try and get a win over his teammate to kickstart the campaign, of course. Yeah, it might be a battle for an 8th world title versus a 1st, but who knows? Obviously, we saw Mercedes with a big comeback last year. What could stop Red Bull or Ferrari doing that this season. But yeah, just a couple of laps to go. I think it is still Hamilton that leads the way. A Stroll now back within my DRS range. We're just trying to manage the tyres and get the car to the flag ahead of this whole gaggle of cars. So we got yellow flags out. Oh no, Stroll! Late on in the day there, Lance Stroll has locked him again down at the bottom of the hill there, and that's going to relegate him from P8 all the way down into, I think, P11 then of the Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly will be very, very happy with that one. Gives himself the opportunity to try and pick up a point here in Sakir. But yeah, 2 laps to go now, and we've got Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sergio Perez now following me home. Can we defend from 2 Red Bulls and a Ferrari? Mainly sort of spoke about how much Red Bull has struggled at the start of the year, but let's not take anything away from them. We're talking about a team struggling for race victories, not a team struggling for points. They have still definitely got a much, much quicker car than ourselves there, as you can really see, hanging the car over the curbs, taking big, big risks as we round the final corner, about to start the last lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen is not going to give up on this one easily there. Just got a little bit scared for 1 second as the MFD flashes up, but I think that was just a warning about tyre wear, as we're going to have to completely drain the battery as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Verstappen not close enough this time round, as we'll try and recharge and save as much as we can. Ready for the drive back up the hill there, really focusing on trying to get the best run we possibly can there and go defensive on Max Verstappen. Look at the speed though the Red Bull's got as he tries to have a look to the outside of the top of the hill there. Max Verstappen, as we've seen so often before for other drivers, big lock-up at the top of the hill. Ricciardo tries to get his elbows out there, but the Dutchman hangs firm for now and will keep applying the pressure on the final lap of this Grand Prix. But rounding the final couple of corners, it looks like it is going to be Lewis Hamilton that is going to fend off his charging teammate George Russell at the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And the championship now, the fight for the 8th world title can resume once more there. Hamilton will take the win here in Bahrain and sets the fastest lap in the process on the final lap of the afternoon there. Mercedes well and truly back as well. Charles Leclerc will come through for P3 ahead of both McLarens, but can we hang on ahead of Max Verstappen? 2 more corners to go. You can see the Dutchman trying to put the nose in, trying to throw me off on the final lap of this Grand Prix, but I never expected us to qualify inside the top 10, and I never expected us to make progress from there coming into the race. But rounding the final corner, it's going to be P6 to kickstart Season 2. That I will absolutely take.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé. That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. Mercedes move to the top of the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton kickstarts the year exactly as he would have wanted there. George Russell, and maybe a little bit of a fumbled strategy by his side of the Mercedes garage there, can only come away with P2, but Mercedes, yes, certainly looks strong as we start the second season here of F1 22. Charles Leclerc P3, and yeah, look at McLaren, 4th and 5th there. What a start to the year for them. 22 points on the board. We come through for P6, only just hanging on from Verstappen, Ricciardo, and Sergio Perez there. And yeah, Pierre Gasly does take home the final point. Lance Stroll, I'm sure, will be kicking himself down at Aston Martin for throwing it away right at the very end there. But I mean, even look at Latifi up in P14. Unfortunately, not quite the race our teammate Oscar Piastri would have wanted. They're down in P21. Not too sure what happened to him. But having a look then, of course, championship order will be exactly the same as the race results. Constructors-wise, though, Mercedes lead the way, 44 points. They're a perfect weekend. Twice the points of McLaren in P2. Ferrari P3, and we're tied with Red Bull for 4th place there. We're just AlphaTauri as well, getting that solitary point on the board. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back tomorrow with round 2 of the year. We head to Jeddah. You guys do not want to miss that.
None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.